If you want to know what it's like driving in the Pittsburgh area, then stay tuned to this video. My name is Mark McClinchy, and I'm a real estate agent in the Pittsburgh area, and I have a YouTube channel, Mark Knows Pittsburgh, and I lately have been doing these drives and just showing you what it's like to drive through the area. So right now I'm in Sewickley. Before I pass through it, I want to mention that, and I'm taking a drive up to the North Hills area into Franklin Park to show a home. And I just wanted to bring you along, and you'll see exactly what I'm seeing in real time. So no editing, no fast forwarding or anything like that. So you'll see exactly what it's like to drive through this area. So we're going to turn on Blackburn. I call this sort of like the back roads to get up to the North Hills. It would probably be quicker to go Ohio River Boulevard and then 79 North. This will just take a few extra minutes, but all told, it's still only going to be about a 15-minute drive. But it's one of my favorite drives. Blackburn is very, very scenic, and not all of it's going to come across video because you're only seeing, the road and a little bit to the side of the road. But you'll see lots of sort of pre-Civil War walls. So a lot of history in this area, and we're in spring, so this video is recorded in mid-April. It's on a Saturday about 3:30, so we're not obviously running into any midday traffic or rush hour traffic, but this road would be just like this at any time of day. We're not going to see that much traffic on this road. We might pass a handful of cars here or there, but hopefully this isn't the first video you've seen like this, so you kind of know the drill. But if you are new and this is the first video that you've been on my channel and just randomly come across this, as YouTube tends to do to serve up videos for people, I hope you'll check out the rest of the videos that I've done on my channel. Not only the 100-ish videos that I've done on different topics, but these driving videos in particular. I've been doing these for the past, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 months. I just record them every once in a while when I'm out doing my normal day-to-day work. And it's great for me because this is an easy way for me to post content that people really appreciate. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback about these videos, and I don't have to do a ton of editing or no editing, and they're great to record. The only thing I got to do is fill up time and make sure I try to give you some valuable information while we're driving, but we sort of kill a couple birds with one stone here. So again, we're heading through like the Swickley Heights area. We left like the village of Sewickley. If you look in the description below, you'll actually find a link for Google Maps that will take you to the exact drive that I did, and that way you can kind of follow along to see which roads I'm actually on and sort of my starting point and ending point. And, the whole drive is probably going to be about 8-9 miles, and like I said, we're probably going to be around the 15-minute mark or so. But just real pretty drive through the hills, through Swickley Hills, through Swickley Heights. Really some old, wonderful sort of estates. Many of them are. A lot of them were in disrepair, like around like the 50s and 60s, and a lot of them, got demolished, and they're not around as much anymore. And then they subdivided some of them, and now they've got newer homes. And for Pittsburgh, new is not 5-10 years, but Pittsburgh new is, I always think of things built like in the 70s and 80s as sort of new, because generally, a lot of our buildings were, around the, historic areas in the 1910s, 1920s, 1930s, sort of with the onset of the automobile. But some of the homes up in this area are much older than that. They've been around for a long, long time, and some of them have, just like I said, just big estates with lots of land. Maybe back in the day they may have had, small animals that they raised on those. Here's a guy pulled over with some car trouble, perhaps, but he seems to be moving right along. safely. Good luck to you, sir. So we're going to, that we're just continuing on Blackburn and making our way over toward the Mount Nebo area. We've got a belt system. See the sign straight ahead? It says Orange Belt. I get a lot of questions about the belt system in Pittsburgh. So here's a little tidbit about the belts. So if you actually Google it, Pittsburgh belt system, and you will find that, unlike a lot of newer cities that were able to, build highways and build loops, I lived in Houston for a while, and they've got multiple loops because it's a newer city and it's an easy way to get around. And so my understanding is that, due to Pittsburgh's geography and everything, everything was already, the land was there, the roads were there. They're not just going to be able to build loops around the city, but they wanted to give people a way that if you needed to get around and you wanted to go in a circular fashion, they have a series of concentric circles. It starts with I think the purple or the blue is downtown, and then it goes to red and yellow, orange, and it gets bigger and bigger, and so you could spend the day just sort of traveling along one of the belts just to sort of go sightseeing and travel. It's actually a great way to sort of learn the city, and you just follow the signs to the belts. Most people, of course, are driving around using the belt system and don't realize it because they just sort of see the sign, and it doesn't really have anything to do with anything. So you're never going to go into Google and get driving directions, and it's going to say, well, take the yellow belt and go left here. When I was a kid, though, and I played a lot of sports, and we would have travel teams, and the coach passes out the directions at practice and say, give this to your parents because this is how you get to the game on the weekend. It would always reference a belt, take the yellow belt, take the red belt. So it was actually quite useful up until the internet age, and then it was all right, now we'll just follow Google or MapQuest or whatever it was back in the day. So now we just plug it in our GPS and off we go. So nonetheless, we are still on Blackburn Road. We'll be approaching 79 momentarily, and then we'll go up through sort of Ohio Township, the Avonworth area, and then we'll get into Franklin Park, which is the North Allegheny area. I have a client that I'm showing a home that they're interested in buying in the North Allegheny school system. So super competitive up there. Well, it's competitive a lot of places. So, but yeah, they've been trying to find a home for a few weeks now, maybe slightly more than that. But it's hard because inventory is low, and that's true of most communities around the Pittsburgh area. So if you're listening to this video and or watching, I guess, and you're considering a move to Pittsburgh, I do not have a crystal ball of what maybe if you're thinking about a year down the road, 2-3 years down the road. A lot of my viewers on YouTube are long-term, which is great. So I always encourage people to reach out as early as possible. So rather than get just sort of generic information about the Pittsburgh area, which most of my videos are, they're specific toward communities and neighborhoods. But if you say, well, this is what I'm looking for, what do we can actually try to match what are the right places that fit with what you're looking for. The vast majority of my clients that I help buy a home do not have much experience in the Pittsburgh area at all. They didn't grow up here. They don't necessarily have family here. So I try to walk them through all the different, options that might be a good fit for them. So we are crossing over 79, the overpass here. And we're just going to go up Mount Nebo and then make our way over toward Franklin Park. But yeah, check out the rest of my videos on my YouTube channel. There's information about school districts in there. I used to be a principal, if you weren't aware of that. So I spent a lot of time working for several different systems, and even as a principal, though, you're fortunate to sometimes go on learning walks and things like that at other districts, so you sort of get an opportunity to see how other districts are doing things. So I've done a lot of visits to other schools, and when I was in grad school, I visited a lot of with schools, so I know a fair amount about a lot of different schools in the area, and I share some of that knowledge with my clients, which they find very helpful if you have school-age kids, or eventually you'll have school-age kids. So that can be helpful. So there's a lot of different things on my YouTube channel. There's things to do, or if you're going to visit, there's suggestions on itineraries for visiting Pittsburgh. So check that out. Let me know what you think. Also, if you're a TikTok user and you like to watch TikToks or Instagram, I basically do some of the same content on both of those channels. And I also do it on YouTube Shorts, which is pretty easy just to populate it over. But I've done a lot of vertical videos recently of short form content. And a lot of those are very neighborhood oriented, so a lot of people like my, 6, 7, 8, 9 minute videos that I'm putting on YouTube. But some of the short ones, even though they're only 45 seconds or something like that, some a little longer, they really pack a punch, because all of it is live video. And so you're actually seeing, when I'm doing driving videos or sort of going through a neighborhood, you're going to see clips of neighborhoods that are, taken by me. And we sort of edit them together. And by we, I mean my daughter, Sadie, who has been extremely beneficial to helping me do all of our social media. It's been great. So there's a lot of content. Mark Knows Pittsburgh on TikTok, on Instagram, and of course you have my YouTube channel, Mark Knows Pittsburgh, right now. And so that is, I hope you will become a regular viewer if you're not already. So we are, again, in Ohio Township and sort of approaching Franklin Park pretty soon. Blueberry Park is up here on our right. Avonworth School District has their softball fields down there. My daughter's played there a few times. This is actually part of Diamond Run, which is a nice little plan if you're into golf course communities. Diamond Run. There's 3 big ones in the Pittsburgh area. There's Treesdale, there's Diamond Run, and there's Nevillewood. Those are the 3 big ones. But right here, you can see the sign up here on the right. Welcome to Franklin Park. And so I will be ending this video very shortly as I pull into the neighborhood of my clients, or showing them a home. And so we're North Allegheny is a pretty big area. It's made up of 3 large municipalities and 1 really small one, which is the one I grew up in, which is Bradford Woods. But it's made up of Franklin Park, McCandless, and Marshall Township. And so there's a lot of housing, it's such a big area. It's one of the larger school districts in the area. It's very popular, but it is high demand. And so fortunately, though, it's big enough geographically that even with low inventory, if you sort of have some flexibility and you're like, well, I could live in a different, section, because obviously the more narrow your search is, the more difficult it is to sort of wait for that house to come. And then, of course, if you really like it, chances are so do a lot of other people, and then you get into these really competitive bidding wars, which I've got other videos about that, and I usually give a lot of that information out one-on-one, just because every bidding war is sort of unique to that neighborhood or unique to that situation. But bidding wars are common. I think they're happening all over the country. There's places where they're not happening. I actually share a document with my clients that a lot of them find really useful, and it's advice on how to win a bidding war, which is really important, because chances are if you're trying to find a house in the Pittsburgh area, you're going to be involved in at least a few bidding wars. It would be great if you win, but it doesn't always happen. And I give advice, on all my experience of, what are the tactics it takes to win bidding wars. And so I get some advice on there. But then, perhaps more importantly, I also have advice on how to avoid a bidding war. And so there definitely are some key strategies to make sure that you are not only going after houses that have bidding wars. There's ways to avoid them, so I give that advice as well. So anyway, we're here at 5 Points. I don't know why they call it 5. The 5th point is like kind of back there. It's not really part of the intersection. But I'll be turning up here into this plan. And thanks for tuning in. I'm gonna pull into Nicholson Woods here because we are on Nicholson Road. And that's gonna do it for me. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you will watch more. Take care and see you in the next video.